I imagine even Punxsutawney Phil heard all about it. This week, the famous little groundhog was utched out of his burrow to predict the course of winter. This interesting, some may say ridiculous, popular North American tradition evidently emerged from a Pennsylvania Dutch superstition. And just this week, on February 2nd, the woodchuck saw its shadow and forecast 6 more weeks of winter. I remain confused how gloomy skies and a marmot who fails to see its shadow predicts an early spring, and that sunny skies and the presence of one's shadow means a longer winter. But I digress. In the very short time that the rodent was out in broad daylight, I imagine even he witnessed the clamoring for a COVID-19 vaccine and heard all about the shortage. Days ago, I received a call from a friend, and it went something like this. So I want to tell you something that I haven't told anyone. Okay. But you have to swear not to tell anyone. Okay. So I got a call from someone telling me to come get a COVID-19 vaccine. Uh-huh. I told them I wasn't a priority patient. It wasn't my turn. They told me because of the work I do and my clientele, it's important for me to get my shot and I should come right away. I didn't know what to do. So I got in the car and I made my way. And as I drove, I began bargaining with myself. If I get there and there's a line of people outside the building waiting, I'm turning around. I won't even get out of the car. And then I arrived and I didn't see a line outside. I then decided when I walked in, if there was a line of people waiting inside, I would turn around and walk out. I walked in, nobody was waiting in line. I decided that when I started the registration process, if I got any pushback or questioning about my medical status or phase criteria, I would just say, thank you so much, I don't think it's my turn. There were no questions. The majority of the little vaccination booths were empty. So I took the shot. I feel awful. Oh, I said, that's great. That means your body is doing what it's supposed to do. No, my friend said, I feel terrible because I feel guilty, like I did something wrong. I share this story with the permission of the person who called me, as news of COVID-19 vaccine is everywhere. These reports stress the importance of getting the shot and the difficulty in finding it. Just last night, more than half of the evening local news report was about the vaccine. They even have what they're calling a vaccine team. And likewise on social media, pictures abound of people getting their shot, their vaccine record cards, and links to get on wait lists. And those posts following frantic messages of those searching for the vaccine. It is vaccine overload, played out over a time of great scarcity with no quick end in sight. And then there's the ugly banter about how some got it and others haven't, and there is for sure a very important question about equity and how to ensure those who are most vulnerable and communities who have been hardest hit will get it and be prioritized. So this is where my friend's call comes in. Fearing the judgment of others as to how they will be received. Somehow, did they cheat the system if they are on the younger side and appearing healthy? And my friend is not alone. As I am hearing from others, friends, family, and colleagues who have received the vaccine, it is often with a long explanation about how they got it or why they got it, a seeming defense and even desire to hide from others or the public that they have received it for fear of ridicule or questioning. Because everyone wants it, some of those who are receiving it are bearing the brunt of others' frustration. Let's be very clear, though. Our elected leaders, the science and medical community experts are all urging us to get vaccinated and to take the shot when we can get it. For those of us who have not yet been vaccinated, we must exercise patience. But there will come a time when every person who wants a shot will get a shot. When we read the words of this week's Torah portion, we are struck by the timelessness of our tradition and text and the ancient message that is as relevant today as it ever was. In Parshat Yitro, Exodus 20, verse 14, we read the last of the 10 commandments. You shall not covet your neighbor's house. You shall not covet your neighbor's wife or his male or female slave or his ox or his ass or anything that is your neighbor's, including your neighbor's COVID vaccine. Okay, so it doesn't include that last part, but you understand my point. To covet is to have a strong or immoderate desire for what others have. That's hard, right? It seems that this commandment is imploring us to tame and control one's desires, our wants, our impulses. Note that we're not even talking about actions here, but we're supposed to tame our desire. And I imagine that this is one of the 10 commandments because coveting is common, even pervasive, and yes, totally normal. Recall that the laws and rules of our Torah, as well as those of modern time, are often a reflection of what is happening within a society or community that was seen as deleterious, harmful, or dangerous, and needed to be stopped or changed. There must have been a lot of coveting going on during the lives of the ancient Israelite ancestors. More or less than now, I can't answer that question. Rabbi Mary Zamor, in a Devar Torah about this week's portion, described how during a recent Zoom meeting, a participant remarked that she dreaded video calls, lamenting, "Seeing everyone else's beautiful homes makes me feel bad about mine." What we see, and especially what we see that others have that we do not have and want, is difficult, and for some, painful. And while seeing someone's beautiful home or artwork or perfectly configured home Zoom background may evoke feelings of desire or envy, these feelings can be harmful when they create a discontent with what we have and our circumstance. Supposedly, this person wasn't unhappy before they saw the Zoom background of someone else on the call. This commandment reminds us that thoughts matter, as they have the potential to take us from what we have and propel us into a perceived place of deficit. I have come to recognize that the sin of coveting is really not about seeing something we admire or want. In many cases, desire is very good and inspiring and affirmative. Wanting to be successful and independent motivates people to work hard and succeed in their craft or profession. The sin, though, of coveting is that it strips us of contentment. The great commentator Abraham ibn Ezra teaches the antidote to coveting is trusting in God. Ibn Ezra writes, "Hence, a person will trust in their Creator, that God will provide for them and that God will do what is good in God's eyes. The key," Ibn Ezra points out, is to rejoice in one's portion. In other words, be happy with what you have. The extension of this, especially in a time of social media posts and endless Zoom calls revealing people's private spaces, is to be happy and rejoice for others in their successes and beautiful spaces, and to express, recognize gratitude for the blessings in our own homes and lives. In closing, I quote from Rabbi Zamor's excellent Devar Torah sharing rabbinic texts that illuminate this message. Simeon ben Zoma taught, "Who is rich? The one who is happy with their lot." The Talmud asks this same question, providing the answers of 4 different rabbis. Who is wealthy? Anyone who gets pleasure from his wealth, said Rabbi Meir. Rabbi Tarfon says, a wealthy person is anyone who has 100 vineyards and 100 fields and 100 slaves working in them. Rabbi Akiva says, anyone who has a wife whose actions are pleasant. And Rabbi Yossi says, anyone who has a bathroom close to his table. Rabbi Meir's response echoes Ben Zoma's, while the other 3 rabbis answer according to their lives. Tarfon was wealthy, Akiva owed his success to his wife, and Meir had gastrointestinal disease. Their contentment was linked to recognizing the blessing in their lives. May we have the gift, the kindness, the generosity of spirit to rejoice with others in their successes and riches, but more importantly, may we find contentment in recognizing the blessings of our own lives. Shabbat Shalom.